All right, hey everyone. A friend of mine shared this article with me. He claims to have met the individual that the article is about, and it's supposedly a huge miscarriage of justice. I don't know a lot about the details. I'm just in the very beginning stages of reading about it and learning about it. But I thought rather than this article getting lost forever in my email, the hundreds of emails I get every day, I'll just read it into YouTube. I'll upload it. You guys can also be aware of it, and we'll, learn about it together if you're interested. But I do have a very close friend who's met this individual, and he said that I won't believe the level of corruption, but actually, I probably will believe it, given that what we've already seen in many other cases. But in any event, here we go. It's from the dailycaller.com. I'm going to put the link in the description bar in the comment section so you can actually bring up the article if you want to. Hopefully they'll leave it up and the article doesn't mysteriously disappear in the future. Dallas judges shred Constitution, steal millions. It was put up on August the 12th of 2016 by John Griffing. In a series of events most would normally dismiss as outlandish, one American citizen was launched from the civil court into a legal limbo where for years he was deprived by a federal judge of counsel, property, speech, and travel. The case seems unthinkable in the American judicial system, but the story is true, and it happened to one Jeff Barron. Jeff Barron is a Dallas resident and United States citizen who was put into virtual slavery by U.S. District Court Judge Royal Ferguson after Barron settled an otherwise ordinary contract dispute in his court. Although Barron was never accused of any crime and had just resolved the dispute in Ferguson's court, Ferguson seized the sum total of Barron's personal property and possessions, including his home and car, and suspended nearly all of his civil rights, including his right to be represented by counsel, right to own property, right to earn income, and right to travel. 4 years later, Barron was still in civil lockdown, even after the United States Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed the unlawful rulings and enjoined any further liquidation of Barron's property. Immediately preceding Barron's civil lockdown, I don't know what civil lockdown means. Does that mean you're in jail or you get locked down in the city, or I don't know, what does that mean, civil lockdown? Immediately preceding Barron's civil lockdown is the November 2013 auction and sale of 150,000 internet domain names owned by Barron's company, Ondova, LLC. The domain names were auctioned to Trans Limited for $5.2 million, reports the Dallas Observer, and can be traced back to Judge Ferguson. The United States Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Judge Ferguson's court overstepped its authority, and the Observer notes that Ferguson's decision enabled a federal bankruptcy judge to order the November auction. More than just illegal transfer of domain names occurred in the lead-up to the unprecedented actions against Barron. Critics of Barron, including Judge Ferguson, alleged that he was hiring and firing an endless parade of highly qualified lawyers, delaying justice and actually harming his own case, while Barron's supporters cite widespread corruption. Barron also took Ondova into bankruptcy in 2009, immediately preceding a hearing to determine whether he was in contempt of court, according to the Dallas Observer. I've never seen anything like it in almost 25 years practicing law, California attorney Conrad Herring told the Daily Caller News Foundation. Herring got involved when he encountered the same court officers in a routine bankruptcy case, recounting that not only did they make up the facts against my client, they named me as a defendant as well, claiming I had breached a contract to which I was not even a party. Forcing a lawyer to stand trial in his own case is illegal. Their unlawful strategy was to get rid of the lawyer so they could get to my unprecedented client and his money, Herring charges. The very same people who abused the court system against my client were doing the same thing to Jeff, only on a much grander scale, said Herring, explaining his interest in the case. Court documents related to the case corroborate Herring and Barron's statement. Background: Jeff Barron is an internet pioneer and the former owner of Ondova, a technology company during the early days of the public web. Barron earmarked nearly all of his vast wealth, which was $100 million at its height, to finding a cure for juvenile type 1 diabetes, a disease afflicting Barron since childhood. The trouble began when Ondava entered a joint venture with Munish Krishan, a man who Barron alleges embezzled $8 million, prompting Barron to sue for damages. After this, Krishan sued Barron 6 times, attempting to take the rest of the company's assets. Krishan lost all 6 times. When Krishan sued a 7th time, the case came to Judge Ferguson's court, and Krishan won, forcing Barron to settle the case. Ferguson inexplicably put Barron into receivership, an extreme legal remedy imposed on property, not humans, along with his companies and all of his possessions, having his rights to mobility, free speech, ownership of property, and right to legal representation totally eliminated. According to the January 2015 report at Texas Insider, this is the first reported case of a human being placed in receivership since the abolition of slavery in 1865. Wow. The receiver assigned to Barron's case is Peter Vogel, an attorney who, before presiding over Barron's company and personal assets, was a special master adjunct judge in Judge Ferguson's court. Vogel's appointment as receiver is illegal, according to 28 U.S.C. 958, which mandates that a person employed by any judge of the United States may not at the same time be appointed a receiver, reports Texas Insider. Court transcripts obtained by the DCNF reveal that Judge Ferguson, a Bill Clinton appointee, openly admitted during court proceedings that his goal was to destroy Barron financially and personally. Apparently, there is a lot of money to be had here, stated Ferguson. You want to challenge the court order. I have the marshals behind me. I can come to your house, pick you up, put you in jail. I can seize your property, do anything I need to do to enforce my orders. This proceeding is going on and on and on until Mr. Barron has nothing. I mean, actually, everything is depleted. I gather that Mr. Barron is worth a lot of money, but it may be that we sell all the domain names. We may sell all of his stock. We may cash in all of his CDs, and we may seize all of his bank accounts, continued Ferguson. Ferguson did just that, also taking control of and liquidating the Juvenile Diabetes Research Trust that Barron created. Ferguson even threatened Barron's very life if he attempted to resist the illegal actions of the court. You are a fool to screw with a federal judge. And if you don't understand that, I can make you understand it. I have the full force of the Navy, Army, Marines, and Navy behind me. Ferguson thundered. So any failure to comply with that order is contempt, punishable with lots of dollars, punishable by possible jail, death. In America, the Constitution guarantees citizens the right to due process and a speedy public trial. Barron did not have his day in court guaranteed by the Constitution. In fact, the court order putting Barron into receivership was done ex parte in a private meeting between Barron's adversaries and the judge, without any notice or hearing, or an egregious violation of Barron's constitutional rights. Daniel Sherman, the attorney who requested the receivership, admitted under oath that he met ex parte with Judge Ferguson for the purpose of putting Barron in a receivership. They did it without any due process, no right to a hearing, no right to object before the receivership order was signed, not even the right to notice of the order until after a federal district court judge signed it, stated Herring. That happens in other countries, not the United States. On the legality of the receivership, Herring is adamant. It was all illegal, of course, as the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled two years later. After the damage was done, Jeff was worth millions of dollars before the illegal receivership was imposed on him. The criminals, for that is what they are, wanted his money and saw a way to take it using their fiduciary positions and a judicial system they helped corrupt. Herring explains, the system is obviously broken. 2 federal judges looked the other way for years and oftentimes rewarded the corrupt behavior. Perhaps the judges were unwitting participants, but they were in charge. Herring says that what happened to Barron can happen to anyone. Ferguson now collects 2 federal pensions, one from the University of North Texas, where he now serves as the Dean of Law, and his lifetime pension from serving on the bench at $175,000 a year, for federal judges. New developments, tax insanity, court-ordered destruction of documents, and immunity. Since the reversal of Ferguson's receivership order and related subsequent orders, immunity was granted to all the attorneys and other parties for their illegal actions against Barron. No one will go to jail. Herring faults trickle-down lawlessness owing to an accountability vacuum created by political leadership. For the absence of any real consequence for bad actors, it comes from the top down, lawlessness by the people appointed to the highest level to enforce the law, said Herring. Judges and attorneys are able to see just how far they can go in violating the rights of a citizen. In this case, Jeffrey Barron, a talented entrepreneur with a successful product, Herring said. In spite of the Fifth Circuit's reversal of Ferguson's ruling, millions of dollars are still missing, which begs the question, where did the money go? We may never know because the courts have sealed and possibly destroyed the relevant documents. Barron's documents, which may reveal the location of his assets, are permanently sequestered by the court order denying Barron's motion to view sealed documents issued September 23, 2015. The United States Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals also rejected appeals for Barron to see the documents. The court also ordered the destruction of many of the sealed records belonging to Barron in August 2015. Munish Krishan et al. Versus Jeff Barron et al., United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas, case number 09-CV-0988. The official court entry on August 31, 2015 states, appeal record returned consisting of 22 boxes containing the sealed records on appeal and 3 folders of exhibits. Sealed electronic records destroyed. Exhibits to be retained until all appeals are adjudicated. Destruction of evidence is a criminal offense, and so is tax evasion. Barron is being required to pay taxes on the millions stolen from him. Munish Krishan et al. Versus Jeff Barron et al., United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas, case number 09-CV-0988. To clarify, Barron is paying taxes on money that was taken by attorneys in income and has not been returned. Attorneys not only stole money, but are not having to pay taxes on it. There is no basis in tax law for requiring an individual citizen to pay someone else's taxes. So big names in politics took notice. Some big names in politics took notice of the Dallas case and spoke up. In 2 separate interviews, former House Majority Leader Tom DeLay called the court's actions, past and present, totally unconstitutional and demanded the judge's impeachment. Said DeLay in January 19, 2015 interview with Texas Insider, I'm not a lawyer, but with this case, I would introduce a resolution of impeachment of Judge Ferguson. He has completely violated the law and the Constitution. Again, I am not a lawyer, but it is obvious to me as a student of the Constitution that these rulings are totally unconstitutional. They violate the First, Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments, and therefore, if this judge were still on the bench, he ought to be impeached. In a follow-up video interview, DeLay said the corruption on the court is pervasive, and it's pervasive throughout our system because the other 2 branches of government are not standing up and exerting their authority under the Constitution against the judiciary. Send tips to John at dailycallernewsfoundation.org. Wow. Wow. Sounds like another case of federal judges gone completely insane. We'll have to just my goodness, I don't know what to say. I'm almost speechless. It doesn't surprise me given what we've seen in other cases. But we'll need to figure out if Judge Ferguson is still on the bench and what's happened to Jeff Barron, if he's what's the latest with him. All right, God bless everyone. You take care.